Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. First and foremost, praise to the God we have been graced by the chance together in this online meeting. Welcome to our group presentation for a seminar on English language teaching. My name is Ayanaya Putri Srikandi, and I'll be serving as your moderator for today's discussion or presentation. Let's start off with pray. Pray according to each other's beliefs. Pray begin. Amin. Without anything to do, I'd like to introduce the rest of the team. There are Farhan Hussein as the first speaker, Arzeto Wijdan as the second speaker, and the third speaker is Dinara Safina. The fourth speaker is Aura Wardani, and the last speaker is myself, Ayane Pradesukandi. All right. Um, Without any further to do, I will invite Farhan Hussein to present as the first speaker.
Thank you for the moderator. Am I audible?
Yes, Farhan.
Okay, thank you. I think I'm audible. So, yeah, good morning, everyone. So, welcome to my seminar with the title, The Effectiveness of Enhancing Speaking Skills by Using the Turing Method through YouTube. So, that is the title. So, yeah, moving on to the introductions of my paper. So my paper examines the effectiveness of using YouTube to enhance speaking skills through or by the drilling method. So with YouTube's accessibility and vast content make it a valuable resource for language learners, despite its potentials, challenges such as content selections and quality still exist, of course. And this study aims to bridge the gap between theory and also practical applications by providing strategies for using YouTube effectively for speaking practice in EFL or English as a foreign language context. So that is the introductions. And chapter 2 is about supporting theories. So in this chapter, it discussed the foundational theories related to speaking skills and also the use of YouTube for language learning and also speaking skills that are crucial for effective communications and involve fluency, vocabulary, and also grammar and also pronunciation. And there is 3 key points. First is speaking skills involve both verbal and non-verbal communications. Second is YouTube support diverse learning style with visual and auditory content. And the last one is the Turing method helps in reinforcing language patterns through repetitions. And yeah, this is the supporting theories that I put in my paper. First is speaking skill. According to Yuliawati in 2019, is an activity that enables people to vocally convey their ideas. Second one, exploring YouTube as a learning tool. And the last one is Turing method, as you can see. Now, the methodology. So I have this methodology in the screen. So I use qualitative methodology. I have 6 members of the English club at SMN 4 Kota Serang. Specifically, you can see the name and the variable is there is YouTube and also the dependent variable, there is pronunciation improvement and all the list of kind of like the level that I mentioned in the data and also the data collections. First is data was gathered through semi-structured interview that I have also put what kind of questions that I asked to each participant and also the data analysis. I used thematic analysis was employed to analyze the interview transcript and also observational notes that I use. And also the data itself was coded and categorized to identify the themes related to the effectiveness of using YouTube for enhancing speaking skills. So it focused on speaking skills. And the last one is a cross-case analysis. So compare and also contrast the experience and perceptions of different participants, especially these 6 members of the English club. So I do that. And now the finding and also the discussion. So the finding from the study on the use of YouTube to enhance speaking skill have several positive outcomes. participants including Gibra, Lala, Iqbal, Misal, Naka, and Sinta has reported significant improvement in pronunciation based on the sheet that they have done and also the interview that I did, and also regular practice with YouTube Bass Drill help them enunciate words more clearly and also accurately. And additionally, many participants highlighted the positive impact of this activity on their fluency. And engaging in speaking exercise and dialogues from YouTube videos increase their confidence in expressing themselves by fluently and also some spontaneously. And moving on to the conclusion. So what are the conclusions of our paper? So in conclusion, the study underscored the potential of incorporating YouTube into language learning to enhance students' speaking proficiency or speaking skills, and also YouTube's diverse content and interactive features facilitate this improved pronunciation, fluency, vocabulary, grammar, and also topic comprehensions. And the findings support the integrations of technology in language education to foster oral communication skills and also provide engaged learning experiences. And that is the summary and also what is my paper. So thank you very much for listening. I'll give it back to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Farhan, for a great presentation. So moving on to the next speaker, I will invite Arzeto Wijdan. Time is yours.
Thank you, moderator. Okay, Farhan, can you help me for session? So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, I'm gonna present my research about the students' lack of confidence in using English language when speaking in class. So, next slide, please. For the introduction, one of the most challenging challenges faced by the language learner and the teachers, especially in language classroom, is the speaking abilities. In order to handle oral communication, language learner needs to be able to speak coherently, have interpersonal skills, speak in a variety contexts, strike a balance between correctness and fluency, and communicate about unexpected topics based on their knowledge. A person with poor communication skills in English will be reluctant to talk. Due to their lack of exposure to the language, a student may become nervous and anxious when asked to speak in English. A subjective experience of tension, apprehension, nervousness, and worry coupled with an autonomic nervous system activation is the definition of anxiety. So one of significant obstacles that students have when trying to improve their English skill is the oral communication or speaking skill. Students often find it difficult to express themselves in English, particularly when it comes to word choice. When engaging in classroom conversation, students often resort to speaking in their original language, such as Indonesian, Japanese, or Sundanese. This tendency stems from a concern of making mistakes when speaking English. So next slide, please. Okay. For the supporting theories, the first one is the speaking skills. Speaking is one of the main language abilities that has to be developed. There are several ways to define speaking. For example, speaking is an interactive process of meaning production that involves producing, retrieving, and processing information. The form and meaning of the information are determined by the purpose of speaking and the setting. Next one is the component of speaking skill. Teachers should be well versed in the requirement for speaking proficiency as well as the relationships between the many components of speaking proficiency. Address the following 5 components of speaking, which is comprehension, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and fluency. Furthermore, the primary characteristics of a learner's speech are its accuracy, complexity, and fluency. The third is the concept of teaching speaking skills and practice. Teaching is an interactive process primarily involving classroom talk, which takes places between teacher and pupil and occurs during certain definable activities. According to this definition, teaching is a collaborative effort, a two-way exchanges and shared experience that involve both the teachers and the students. Whether they have learned enough instructional practices according are the actual strategies, material, tasks, and assignment that teacher and student complete in the classroom. Next one is the characteristic of teaching method. Efficient time management, a supportive classroom environment, and a student-centered approach are hallmark of the effective teaching practices. Effective teaching practices are efficient, have classroom leadership, and foster a positive learning environment. It is focused on encouraging active and independent learning with a variety of methods and social constellation. And the last one is the role of teacher in teaching speaking skills. Teachers' roles in teaching language vary depending on the kind of language. Education strategy that utilize, such as communicative or grammar translation. Teachers that utilize the grammar translation technique, for example, are expected to show their authority because their main duty is to transfer knowledge to the student. So next slide, please. Next one is the methodology. Data collection. I'm using a qualitative methods and the data collection by my research using a questionnaire instrument given to several samples to answer question as below. So the first question is, do you feel proficient in speaking English? The second one is, do you feel insecure when speaking English? If yes, why? The second one and the third one is, in your opinion, what is the most important thing to increase confidence when speaking English? And the fourth question is, do you think the role of teachers or lecturers in school or universities have been good in improving students' confidence in speaking English? If not, do you have any suggestion on the right methods for this? Next slide, please. And the findings that the researcher gave is the question, and there were a total 11 samples obtained by the researcher from the students of Sultan Ageng Tirtayase University with different faculties and majors. The results showed that the 11 samples who answered question 1, the majority considered themselves average when speaking in English, while the minority considered themselves proficient and not very proficient. For question number 2, the majority of the samples gave answer that they felt less confidence in speaking English. And for the question number 3, the answer of the sample prefer talking directly with native speakers, often drilling every day at home, increasing vocabulary and improving pronunciation. And for the last question, the samples gave various answers but can be narrowed down to several conclusions. That the right method to increase student confidence is to provide interesting learning methods so that students are not bored. Also, not judging students too quickly so that confidence does not drop, and starting to make it mandatory to use English in class as a progress. Next slide, please. So the next one is the conclusion. The conclusion to this material is that a good teachers and environment determine the development and confidence of students to developing the English speaking skill. Actually, what students need the most is support from the people around them to make them more motivated and confident to open their mouths. And it is the teacher's job to be a good bridge in the classroom, providing the right lessons, method, but for them to grow their confidence. The classroom is a good place to start. After that, the campus or school environment, and then the community when they live. The friends around them are so less important. A positive environment and foster positive things to which will certainly be good for the development of students. And in this case, the soft skills of English speaking. There seems to be a relationship between the respondents' confidence level and how they perceive their speaking techniques. So I guess that's it for my presentation for my research. I'll give it back to the moderator. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Arzeto, for such a Great presentation. For the next presenter will be Dinana Safina. I'll invite you to share your screen. Time is yours.
All right, thank you, moderator, for giving me the opportunity to deliver my material of my paper with the title, The Impact of Feedback on Improving Student Skills in Writing in Senior High School. For the background, we know that many students today have a bad attitude about writing in English and find it difficult to complete a composition or an assignment. And teaching writing in high school is often faced with various challenges, and students may have difficulty organizing the ideas, structuring good writing, using correct grammar, or developing a coherent argument. So here, feedback has a great deal of promise to help senior high school students become a better writers. So here, understanding the effects of feedback and how to use it in the unique context of senior high school students' writing development is crucial as educators and researchers continue to investigate the successful feedback strategies. And in this study, we can investigate how good feedback can help students in the revision process and improve the quality of their writing in high school. And here for the formulation of the problem in my paper, the first question is, do students always receive feedback when working on writing assignment? The second is, do students feel there is progress before and after being given feedback when working on writing assignments? And the third, what perceptions do students have of direct and indirect feedback from teachers in English writing? For supporting theories, there are three theories to support my paper. The first is the power of feedback is delivered by Hattie in 2018. They said that work further explores the power of feedback in enhancing student learning, and the authors delve into different types of feedback models, and the role of students in the feedback process. And the second theory is the effect of teacher feedback. Zhu and Lee conduct a meta-analysis to examine the effects of teacher feedback on English as a foreign language learners' writing performance. And the study synthesizes findings from various research studies to provide an overview of the impact of teacher feedback on students' writing outcomes. And the last theory is the effects of peer feedback is from Young and Badger and Yu. They examine the effects of peer feedback on English as a foreign language writing revision. And the study investigates how different types of peer feedback, such as direct, indirect, and metalinguistic, impact the students' revision behaviors and writing quality. All right, we are moved to the method. For the research design, I took qualitative research, and the population and sample is students in senior high school of SMAN Negeri 4 Pandeglang, and the research instrument is interview. For the data collecting technique, I use literature review and focus group discussion, and the data analysis technique, I took discourse analysis, thematic analysis, and grounded theory analysis. And here for the findings, as I said from the problem research, the first research question is, do students always receive feedback? So I find that the research results show that they always get feedback when given this task about writing assignment. And for the second research question, the research results show that some of them have experienced quite significant progress. And the last research questions show that students' opinions of teachers' direct and indirect feedback on their English writing is various. And since it provides clear instruction, validates strengths, and offers encouragement, such as direct feedback is frequently valued. And it teaches students how to grow by helping them comprehend their errors. All right, we are moved to the discussion. So after I find the findings, here is the discussion. Feedback is available from a variety of people, such as classmates, teachers, and self-evaluators. And each feedback source has certain advantages and disadvantages. Students receive professional advice and insight from their teachers, whose opinions are often considered authoritative. And on the other hand, peer feedback gives students the opportunity to work in groups and get input from classmates who may have similar writing experiences. And the next, by pointing out specific areas that need attention and offering suggestions for improvement, feedback guides students towards enhancing their writing skills, and it empowers them to make revisions, refine their writing style, and develop a better understanding of the conversations and expectations of English writing. So, providing feedback can be a powerful way to encourage students in their English writing. When students receive feedback on their writing, it signals to them that their work is valued and that their efforts are recognized. And positive and constructive feedback acknowledge their strengths and achievements, and also boosting their confidence and motivation to continue developing their writing skills. And it reinforces their belief in their ability to improve and succeed in English writing. So we come to the conclusion. In conclusion, the research on the impact of feedback on improving students' writing skills highlights its tremendous significance as a catalyst for growth and development. And for the conclusion, also feedback must be timely, accurate, oriented towards a specific objective, helpful, acceptable, and relevant to the present position. And another important component in the effectiveness of feedback is that individuals who intend to use it understand the notion. And this is true whether an individual instructor, a department, or the entire staff intends to use feedback. Here are the references, and thank you for your attention. That's all from me. I give it back to the moderator. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dinara, for such an awesome performance. For the next presenter will be Aura Wardani. Time is yours.
Thank you, moderator, for this opportunity. Before I start my presentation, I'd like to ask help from one of our fellow presenters, Dinara, if I could share the screen of my presentation.
Please welcome Aura.
Thank you. For my presentation, I like to present my research, which is the effective strategies for teaching English language skills to individuals with specific intellectual disabilities. Next slide, please. I will start with introductions. Now, as you know, individuals with intellectual disabilities often face significant challenges in acquiring and developing language skills, especially their own and in this case, other languages, including proficiency in English. In English, with intellectual disabilities can encounter a range of cognitive and developmental and adaptive functional impairment that can hinder their process of language learning and communication. For these for these individuals, the ability to effectively communicate in English is crucial for not only their academic needs but also their social and vocabulary success, and as well as their overall quality of life. However, the task of teaching English language skills to individuals with intellectual disabilities as complex and multifactorial as these, educators and researchers in the field must navigate through a unique set of considerations, including the diverse learning needs and the profiles and processing capabilities of these populations. Now, identifying and implementing effective international strategies, curricula, and supportive services is essential for fostering a meaningful progress in English language development. You could next slide, please. For supporting layers, there are 55. The first is instructional strategies and methods in curriculum, and instruction assessment and progress monitoring collaboration. I don't want to waste your time in explaining all of this, so we just move on. Next slide, please, Ada. And for the methodology that I use for this research, I specifically use a quantitative method, which involves 63 students who were specifically selected because they were suspected of having a disability. Namely, in this one, I managed to find dyslexia. I didn't manage to find, so I apologize about that. Now, 35% of the surveys were women. The age of ranges from 12 to 13 years old. Meanwhile, the youngest male respondent was about 11 years old, and the oldest was being 14. The average range of respondent was 2,197 in the seventh division, and students in the study attended several schools in the same district. And now those are what I used. Next slide, Ara. I'll move on to the discussion that we'll use in this argument. Now, teaching English individuals with unique challenges and requirements that, as we all know, and can offer valuable insight, and we as educators can provide valuable insight and strategies to address these challenges and create an inclusive learning environment, which is the most important part of this one. In the case of individuals with mental disabilities, in the framework can guide instructors in designing English language instructions that considers their specific needs and abilities. Now, one of the key considerations when teaching English to individuals with mental disabilities is to provide multiple means of representation, and that's the most important thing I want to point out is representation. Now, by using visual aids, simplified text, and multimedia resources, instructors can present language materials in a more accessible and engaging manner that can be easier for the students to understand, especially those with hard disabilities such as dyslexia, as we all discussed. Now, this approach helps learning with mental disabilities a better comprehend intelligent and contest facilitates the language acquisition process. And that was for discussion. Next slide and last slide, please, Ara. Moving on to the conclusion. The student indicates that students with intellectual disabilities encounter some challenges when attempting to learn English, including problems with writing, pronunciation, reading comprehension, speaking, and all of that. Now, teaching to English to individuals with these kinds of requirements really depends on the teacher and their flexibilities, inclusive process that includes their unique learning needs, implementing individual instructions, visual tasks, learning function, communication, and training, yada yada, etc. You get the idea. What I'm trying to say is we as educators need to focus more on our needs more than ours, and we need to able to adapt to each student's needs. And I guess that's all for I could say for my presentation. I hope it can come across as useful to all of you. Thank you for your time. I'll give it back to the moderator.
All right, thank you, Aura, for such a great presentation. Now moving on to the last presenter, which is me. I am going to present my PowerPoint first. Dinara, can you please allow me to share my screen?
Yes.
All right, so my material is going to be about the long-term effects on implementing gamification in language learning. So moving to the background of the study, so the utilization of gamification, the utilization of gamification in the field of education has received significant recognition in recent times, indicating a more widespread trend toward progressive and student-centered teaching methodologies with diverse effects on different aspects of education, such as student engagement, motivation, and learning outcomes, according to Ahmad et al. 2020. So the following chapters would be dissertation will delve deeper into the theoretical foundation of gamification in education, the specific design and implementation of the gamified language learning program, the research methodology employed, the analysis of the collected data, and the implications of the findings for the future of language education. Coming to the research questions, the first is for motivation and engagement, how does the integration of gamification elements impact students' long-term motivation and engagement in language learning? The second is, how do the long-term language proficiency outcomes of gamified learning compare to those of traditional language instruction approaches? And the last one is, how do students perceive the long-term experience of learning a language through a gamified curriculum? In the chapter 2, I am going to discuss about the supporting theories first. So gamification, or the use of game design, ideas, and mechanics in non-game environments, has emerged as a potential strategy for increasing student motivation, engagement, and long-term retention in language acquisition, according to Dishef and Dishefa, 2017. And gamified learning environments, which include components such as points, badges, leaderboards, and interactive challenges, have the ability to revolutionize how students approach and engage with the target language, resulting in more successful and sustainable language acquisition. And the independent variable, which is implementing gamification in language learning with the relevant theories. The first is determination theories, the second is flow theory, and the last one is experiential learning theories. And for the dependent variable will be the long-term effects of the gamification itself. The first one is skill acquisition theory, the second one is distributed practice theory, and the last one is cognitive load theory. So the methodology I use is a literature review approach to explore the theoretical foundations and empirical evidence surrounding the application of gamification principles in language learning. So a comprehensive review of relevant academic literature was conducted to synthesize the current understanding of how gamified language learning environments can support the skill acquisition and distributed practice processes, which will be conducted a thorough examination of scholarly resources and exclusion of unpublished or gray literature such as conference proceedings, working papers, and dissertations. And the findings are, the first one is the long-term effects on language learning. So according to Barata, reported that students who participated in a semester-long gamified language course exhibited better performance on standardized proficiency tests. And the second is the long-term effects on motivation and engagement. As is said by Dishefa and Dishefa 2017, a systematic review of studies on the long-term effects of gamification in educational context find that well-designed gamified approaches can lead to increased learner autonomy, enhanced goal-oriented behavior, and improved self-regulation over time. And the last one is the factors influencing the long-term effects on gamification.